Hey, this video is a quick market update for San Francisco, the city and county of San Francisco. My name is Joe Polyak, local San Francisco Bay Area real estate agent with Rise Homes. And I make these videos for people like you if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area, or really anywhere in the country. So for the first quarter for March 2021, San Francisco, the city and county of San Francisco real estate is performing much the same that it did the last couple of months, but it's just continuing the upward trend. As you'll see, single family home prices are up over 10% year over year from the previous March 2020. And condo prices, median condo prices, continue to go down just a little bit, but they're not down as much as they were. They were down by as much as 15% year over year a few months ago, and now they're just down by 2%, which is showing that the condo market is slowly starting to pick back up again and demand is coming back as things reopen. Let's dive a little bit deeper. So as always, San Francisco Association of Realtors provides this data sheet for us. Thank you so much for doing that. It's very helpful for us realtors to provide this information to our clients. Now, they always start off with a little bit of commentary, and basically the commentary is that the market is still hot. Demand is still very, very high, supply still low, and not enough is being built, and there's really not enough space to build, to be honest, in San Francisco to be able to keep up with the demand. So far we are seeing prices continuing to increase and demand staying very high while supply is very low. For single family homes, townhomes, condos, still a little bit slow, and prices are down a little bit, but it has been picking back up. Now, the number of new listings up year over year, single family home listings, inventory actually up quite a bit, and condo listings up very much so. Condos year over year, new listings up quite a bit at 68.8%. Pending sales increased 61%. However, we are comparing this to year over year March 2020, which was when the pandemic started. March 16th, to be exact, is when shelter in place orders were implemented. We're comparing it against a very, very slow March in general as far as the number of new listings that hit the market and pending sales, but not necessarily prices, because the prices weren't necessarily affected that considerably during that time frame. Here's a little memo. So while many home builders are working to increase their activity, the cost of lumber and other materials and a backlogged supply chain continue to limit new home construction and have increased costs substantially. So we actually are seeing increases in costs all across the board for raw materials and housing, and that's been going up quite a bit recently. And I've been hearing a lot of people talk about that, not just in the housing industry, but in a lot of other industries, is that the cost of raw materials has gone up quite a bit. And so we are seeing that. So we are potentially seeing signs of, what may be considered inflation at this point. This is pretty interesting. New methods of construction, including 3D printed homes, could speed construction and reduce costs in the future. But realistically, we're several years away from making a measurable impact in the market. But that is pretty encouraging to hear that we are in the center of technological innovation, Silicon Valley, and hopefully it will remain so for many, many years to come. And it would be great to be able to bring home construction to the 21st century with 3D printing and other new innovative ways to lower the cost of housing, to allow it to become more affordable for a lot of the people who just cannot afford these incredibly high prices. And let's jump to those incredibly high prices. New listings, we can kind of ignore that metric because it's comparing March 2020 when the pandemic hit. So obviously right after that first week of March, in the middle of the second week, is when people said, no, I'm not listing my home. During this time, a pandemic is hitting, we're in a shutdown. So during that time, that's when a lot of people just said, no, I'm not listing my home at this time. So we can't really compare that. We can't really compare pending sales. Sold listings, not so much either, but median sales prices we can compare. So let's take a look at the median sales price in San Francisco for single family homes. It is 1.742. Now, keep in mind, San Mateo County, I just looked up. San Mateo County has traditionally been maybe a little bit lower or neck and neck with San Francisco in a lot of ways. Well, it's really surpassed San Francisco because March 2021, San Mateo County, the median price hovered at over 1.8 million, I believe. Am I correct? Yeah, it hovered over 1.8 million. Now, San Mateo County is quite a bit more expensive than San Francisco, it's looking like, for single family homes, as far as median prices go. Average sales price, San Francisco is still quite high because you have those outliers. You have those $30 million homes, I believe $40 million homes sold in San Francisco. So those outliers really have quite a bit of impact. One thing I will point out is that even though we're comparing March 2020 to March 2021, 2021 when the pandemic hit, March 2020, it didn't really affect prices very much. Prices did not really dip for single-family homes during that time. Inventory, levels of inventory, the number of homes for sale, number of homes sold, pending, those were affected. But the prices were not. Now, the prices being 10% higher this March versus last March, that's quite an increase year over year when we were already looking at home prices in the high 1 millions or the mid 1 millions at that point. It's quite a bit of an increase. Average days on market, 23 days. Active listings right now, 427 at the end of the time period in March 2021. The percentage of homes sold over list price, we're back. For a little while there, historically over the last 5 to 10 years, we've had a market where you list homes way below what they're going to sell for. So listed for $999, it sells for $1.5. Very common, it happens all the time. And list for $1.2, it sells for $1.35. That's just how we did it. That took a little bit of a break in a sense during the pandemic. People started listing it closer to what the market price was. Not everybody, not always, but that became a lot more common. Well, now we're back. We're back to completely listing it aggressively again. $999, sell for $1.5, it's back. So almost 75% of homes are selling above list price in San Francisco. And the average, 12% homes are selling for 12% over asking. Let's go down. Month supply real quick. 1.9 months of supply of inventory. That means we're still in a very hot seller's market in San Francisco. So people are talking about exodus, and they've continued talking about the exodus. I think we saw the peak number of people fleeing San Francisco to go to the East Bay, to go to all these other areas. Now that things are slowly coming back, and not even that slowly, now that things are quickly starting to come back, and we're starting to see traffic on our freeways, and the traffic has actually picked up quite a bit recently, I feel that exodus and people leaving to go to the East Bay is not going to be as aggressive as it has been in these last 6 months. So let's see if my prediction pans out, but I just think that when people see, oh yeah, this is why we didn't move here, because of the traffic, and a lot of people have to work from home or get to work from home right now, but I think that's also going to change with a lot of companies as well. So we'll see. Let's jump into condos. So again, we can kind of ignore the stats for new listings, pending sales, sold listings. We can look at them quickly, but a lot of people just didn't put their homes on the market or homes go pending during that time. But let's take a look at median sales price. 1.22 for condos in San Francisco, not too bad. And 1.36 for condos is the average sales price. Median 122 and 136 for the average. That is quite a big difference from the last few months, 3 to 6 months, where condos took quite a hit and were down by as much as 15 or 20% year over year for those respective months. So we are starting to see the condo market inching back up, and especially in San Francisco. And again, because I think things are opening back up and people are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and they're deciding that it's time to move back in. Days on market, 45. That is pretty high. I expect and predict that we're going to start seeing that number coming down a little bit, as a lot of these homes that have been on the market are going to get sold, and as demand continues to increase. Here's my prediction. A year from now, that number is 35 or less. You can say you saw it here first, folks. Percent sold over list price, 42%, much worse than single family homes, of course, and the average homes are selling 2%, 2.5% above the list price versus the 12.5% that it is in single family homes. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, my name is Joe Polyak with Rise Homes, local San Francisco Bay Area real estate agent. If you want to reach me, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me or text me. My phone number is 415-595-2647. My email address is joe@homesbyrise.com.